Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tribe Forex Power Hour. I am Marcello Nino, and with me is Nino, a Pro FX trader. How are you, Nino?
I'm great. How are you today?
Doing awesome. We had a great set of trades yesterday. The pound yen. By the way, today is March 19th, 2014, guys. We had a great trade. We set up on the pound yen buy. Those of us who got in at the very bottom there at the pound yen, I know Nino and I did. And those of us those who are in our Build Wealth program did exceptionally well on that trade, picking up between 1% and 2% off of a little bit less than about a 0.5% trade risk. So that was a great trade for us. We had some other trades that went well. We'll talk about that. So guys, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how it works, how we make money. We're going to do our daily market analysis, and we're going to talk about the old trade calls that we had. So I'm going to get right to it. So our formula for success is after 5 p.m. Eastern Time, basically we find what the bias is for the next day that is to come. How do we find our bias? What is a bias? A bias is the probability of price moving in one direction or the other. So if there's a greater probability that price is going to move up, we have a buy bias. If we have a greater probability of price moving down, we have a sell bias. And if we don't have a bias at all in the market, there's no greater probability in either direction, we don't have a bias at all, so we do not take that trade. Now, there are two ways to execute our biases. One is by a set and forget it trade, and two is by day trading in the direction of our bias using what we call pods, our points of decision for bigger profits. We'll get into that, okay? And so let's go ahead and take a look at the charts. All right, guys, so there's a couple things that happened. So we had been in consolidation on the pound dollar yesterday, and we kind of stayed in consolidation here for quite some while. And then all of a sudden the market just shifted, and then we had a drop on the pound dollar. Now we wanted to call a buy, and we did have a pretty good buy on the pound dollar here. We did have price move up, hit the upper Bollinger, went up 60 pips, and that's plenty of profit for us to get out of this market. And then it went down 80 pips, so up 60 pips, down 80 pips for us. And we chose that buy because we were right at the 50% fib area, and you can see here that the 50 EMA. Okay, and so we can see that price actually broke that and really sold off after it hit that 60 pip mark, really came back down and closed at about 60 pips. Okay, so that's what happened here on the pound dollar. What is our call for today? You know what? Honestly, it's not my strongest call on this one. Actually, we closed below the 50 EMA, and that leaves me wanting to be the 50. Basically, we've got ambiguous signals. We're below the 50 EMA, but we're above some trend lines here and some 50% fib area, okay? And then we're still above this Bollinger as well. And so that leads us to believe that price could very well move back up into this range. So I don't have a particular call on the pound dollar for now, but guys, you can potentially look for a buy on this pound dollar, but that's not my call. All right, so the euro dollar, actually we were talking about this and really debating whether euro dollar was going to go up or go down. You know what, actually looking at it again, I really kind of think that we do have so much support here, and from a purely technical analysis standpoint, I think we could see a buy on the euro dollar, sorry. We have this trend line here, we have another trend line under it that they cross, that's double support, and we have these Fibonacci's areas and previous highs as well. So that would give us a good call for a buy here on the euro dollar, a good case for it. So I want to call a buy on that. Okay, now this is the thing that really confuses me, is because we have our dollar Swiss, and our dollar Swiss is giving us and showing us that it really wants to. It looks like it wants to take a buy, because we broke through this trend line, these trend lines which held so well previously, and which were so respected by the markets. And I actually called the sell on this because we had price test this trend line here, and you can see that price actually went up in the opposite direction. So one of the days, this is where we come into our 85% win ratio area. This is one of the few losses that we actually do take. But the dollar Swiss, we called a sell on this, and you can see that price came up, broke this high. Now once it broke that high, you had to be ready to get out of your buys, get out of your sells here. But we've gotten right back up here, and you can see that we have a swing high, two swing highs that form for us a smaller trend line. So we could actually see a sell-off here from this 88.26 area. So I wanted to call a buy because we're above the trend line, but I see here that there is some resistance here that we can get above on. So here's what I want to call for this: ambiguous. I don't want to call anything. I think that we could get a sell-off here, and I don't want to mess with that. Look for a sell though. If you do see a sell, have an opportune sell at 88.26 in that vicinity, that may be something you want to do. There's small risk on that, so you'd only be risking a few pips, okay? Because if it gets above this area, then it's pretty much most likely going to take off. New Zealand now. The New Zealand, though, is showing us, sell. What happened here? Big time strong trend line here was broken to the upside, and then now it's broken back down to the downside, giving us a nice railroad tracks formation. And you can see what happened here is that price basically is already moving down. It's already moved down 30 pips since the beginning of this session. So it's already moving down, and this railroad tracks really does tell us that price wants to sell off. We could look for a sell all the way down to 84.52 or at least down to 85.11. So there you go. That is the New Zealand sell bias on that. We already know it's already moving though. We had an engulfing candle on the Aussie dollar here. We have a bunch of support underneath it. We have this trend line right under it, and we have a 50 EMA as well. And what I want to do is, I would stay away from this as well because we are in the apex. We could see price bounce back up to the upside because of the support underneath. We have resistance that is just basically the same here on this Aussie dollar. I'd rather wait for price to go ahead and confirm its direction before taking a trade, and that's what you got to do. Sometimes you don't take a ton of trades. Dollar CAD did the very same thing, broke out of this apex, out of this pennant that we had here. And we knew it was going to move here. We thought it was going to sell off because that's what it usually does. 15% of the time we actually do have breakouts, and this was one of those 15% of the times. So it did break out and actually move to the upside. Until we see a sell or a retest of this trend line, we've got to believe the price is going to move up. All right, so our euro yen, we took a buy on that because we were right at this trend line, right within the pennant. And you can see here we're still in consolidation, and we're right in the middle of consolidation. So in this way, you've got to play, consolidation. So what does that mean? It means you're going to sell off the high, and you're going to sell off the high. You're going to buy off the low. Where's the low for us here? It's about 141.00 for the euro, and you're going to buy off the highs, and the highs are about 142. Okay, let's take a look at that and be very certain about what we're saying here. About 141.90. Okay, so you get the 141.90. You're going to sell off of that, buy, because we are in consolidation here. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars that are inside here, and when we do get a breakout, then we will then change our assessment of that currency. Okay, so as far as the dollar yen is concerned, we do have still working in consolidation. We had a big move that was out of the smaller consolidation. We are still under the 50 EMA. We're still within the previous bars, what we would consider the master bar here for this dollar yen inside a breakout formation. And for that reason, I don't have a call on the dollar yet. Guys, yesterday, we did call a buy though, guys. And so yesterday, even though we didn't get the dollar Swiss, we didn't get the euro dollar, or the dollar CAD, we really nailed the euro yen, the pound yen, and the dollar yen. I mean, we nailed it. So here it is. Again, we took a buy on the dollar yen. We're at a place where we could see movement to the upside, or we could see movement back down. It's still in consolidation, but it's not exactly clear, so I'm not going to call that. The same thing here on this pound yen. Now, pound yen, we took a buy, and we actually, if you were in the Build Wealth, you actually made 2% off of this trade today. So I know some couple of our clients have a few $100,000 with us, so they made $4,000 or $5,000, $6,000 off of just this one trade. So that's great. So here we are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 bars that are inside. So we have a lot of consolidation here. We could see a bounce right off of 168.50, and that's what I'm going to look for. And this area, this 50 EMA, clearly is being acknowledged by the market. We could see a bounce down from 169.50. Okay, so I'm kind of in the middle on this one but if I see it come down to 168.50, it's a consolidation play, guys. You're going to be looking for a bounce off of those areas. Okay, and so that's pretty much wrapping up what we have to say. Sorry, it sounds very ambiguous. There are going to be days like that where it's not very clear for us, and that's it. That's all, folks. So, guys, we'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the Tribe Forex Power Hour. And by the way, tonight, Nino will be in the live trade room. I didn't give him a lot to work with today. but I'm sure he'll figure it out. There's a lot of consolidation plays that we can play off of here, and maybe something will materialize in the session as we go forward. As far as the euro dollar is concerned, there may be a clear buy right off those areas of support that we just designated, and we may be able to get something off of the euro dollar or the pound dollar. So guys, we'll be looking for that. Nino's going to be in control of that. He's going to be calling this at 1 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 to 3 a.m. Eastern Time, and then 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time as well. So be in the room with him. If you want to make some pips, this is the guy to watch. This is the guy to follow on those trades. I look forward to seeing you guys in our next session, which is going to be tomorrow, Thursday, March 20th, 2014, at the same time, more or less. All the best. Bye-bye.